Time for a bit of an update. Probably doesn't look like a lot's changed, but a fair bit has. All little stuff. For starters, I've got some proper wheels. Mate's FGX R6 Turbo Ute was very sadly written off. Not his fault. So I've managed to get the 8 3/4 inch wide lensos off that. I think it's a pretty good look. Cold side intercooler piping is done. Got a very nice relocation bracket fabbed up by a mate who's a hell of a lot better aluminium welder than me. They're his lovely welds on the flanges. I done the donut and I done the cooler piping. Far from pretty, but it will definitely do the trick. Just working on mating the E36 throttle cable to the Supra throttle cable. Not sure how I'm going to do it, but I know it's going to involve crimping ferrules and some fun times. Done some work down there with the exhaust, all heat wrapped. Got the coolant bypass plumbed into the bottom of the radiator. Got some heat sleeve on that. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot next to the exhaust there. We'll cross our fingers. Everything with this exhaust is very fingers crossed it doesn't get too hot. All that's heat wrapped. A lot of overlap should provide enough protection there. The airflow through the radiator should help with a little bit of heat dissipation too. Managed to squeeze two 10-inch fans in there, which should add enough cooling. I haven't got the hot side. The hot side is done. I just haven't got it hooked up at the moment. I have got to get a turbo blanket and a wastegate blanket. Obviously heat management is the key. That'll be buttoned up once it's on, and that is a brand new Max Speeding Rods Turbo. It wasn't the cheap one. It's actually got a billet wheel. Supposed to be a really good thing. Supposed to, I don't know. It's Max Speeding rods, it can only be so good. But it does replace the original Max Speeding Rods Turbo that the previous owner had done some very, very interesting stuff to make the oil go into the turbo. So I didn't feel comfortable running that. Andy hadn't run an air filter, and I just wanted something new and shiny, and that's got a pretty billet wheel, so that should be a good thing. Same size rear housing, should keep the spool nice and quick. Everything over on this side is heat wrapped. Manifold is heat wrapped. I was itching for days after wrapping that. Wastegate is out, it's a 50mm pulsar gate. The screamer is right where it belongs. Out the bonnet would have been cool, but that does remove a fair bit of anonymity. If you want to go for a quiet little cruise down the street. The Willwood clutch fluid reservoir is mounted, because I've mounted the clutch pedal, which we'll go to next. I've also mounted the hydro and finalised mounting for the gear stick. That was all fairly straightforward. Hydro's in, should be fairly good positioning. Not too close to steering wheel. Gear shifter goes beautifully. It all matched up perfectly how it was. Didn't have to modify the linkages at all. Just had to make a plate to adapt to the tunnel. Bit of a funny one going from a gearbox mounted shifter to a remote mounted shifter. Hopefully the tunnel is strong enough for the long-term stability. It's the hydro mount. It's all pretty ugly down there. I haven't really finished it up much. I haven't got the clutch line made, so it's all only loose in there. We'll see how I like the clutch pedal on an angle like that. I think it shouldn't be too bad. If not, I can just bend the pedal itself and straighten it up. Making it work was fairly painful. There's not a lot of room up in there, so that's why I had to go remote reservoir. It was all pretty ugly, but obviously with the rocker cover on the M52 in the way of a firewall mounted reservoir or a traditional style clutch pedal, it wouldn't work. So we've made it work. Feels okay when you're sitting in it, just looks a little bit odd. There has been some work around the back, or in the back. Battery box is mounted behind the seat. Should give pretty good weight distribution there. Keeps weight fairly central, and it should be pretty good to run the wires with. Shouldn't be too much running from the more than running it from the back. I can't bloody speak, I do apologise. Ran the wiring through. Oh, it's a bit dark. That's where the ECU will sit up in there. Got to do something to make the heater box work. The AC was nicked from this car when it was parted out. I'll probably just fold up something to give some sort of airflow. It's not critical, the heater core's not hooked up, but a bit of airflow is nice just so that I can avoid it fogging up if need be. Now there has been progress in the back. Fuel cell is only sitting there at the moment, but I have cut out the rusty wheel well. So the spare wheel well was rusty, it was buggered, and a flat 4 is very easy for the fuel cell, so that's been cut out. Bit of plate, I've seam sealed that and painted that with a bed liner type material. Should reduce the vibrations a little bit and stiffen it up with the plate in there and the seam sealer. Fuel cell is just a bargain basement thing I got, but it's actually a pretty nice unit. It has a sender. I don't know if I'll end up making that work. It probably wouldn't match the resistance reading on the Supra dash, but it has a very cool cap, which also has a breather and an anti-rollover valve built into it. The only issue is I will have to make a cover over this. It'll be sort of like a dog kennel sort of arrangement. Given that it is a hatch, you can't have the fuel cell in the driver compartment. There has to be a firewall in between it. Can't have a firewall, so I'm going to make a separate enclosure that will sort of encapsulate the whole area, encapsulate the fuel pumps, and then I'll have some sort of hatch that will open up so I can refuel nice and quickly and easily. That's about all that's happened so far, but a bit of an update. Things are moving slowly. My wife's just given birth to our second daughter, so there's bigger priorities at the moment, but I sneak out here when I can and we'll get it done eventually. Well, hope you enjoy. It's a bit longer one this time. Sorry for the rambling. If anyone would actually like to see some work videos, just say. I'm not terribly good at this, and I'm not terribly good at filming stuff, but if that's what people want to see, I'm sure I can provide. Well, I'll see you next time.